If we're not having fun, we're dying. Do your best to get yourself out of your own mind. Surround yourself with people that are helpful and friendly and encouraging, and get rid of the negativity.
Yeah,
And sometimes to get rid of the negativity, you got to get rid of something of yourself. Come to realization that you're a jerk.
yeah.
If you are, then somehow snap out of that and try to just have a better life.
They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. Your barbecue on. Get your barbecue.
Ever notice how the sound of sizzling meat and the smell of smoke can silence the noise of the world? Now that's barbecue therapy. If the fire moves you, like, subscribe, share, and help spread the message because growth, like good barbecue, takes time and patience. Welcome to your therapy session. Welcome to another episode of the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant, and on today on BBQ Therapy, we're joined by a culinary force, a chop champion, a world-class educator, a competitive powerlifter, and one of the most inspiring pitmasters on the West Coast. From Saturday mornings filled with cooking shows instead of cartoons to perfect scores at the Jack Daniels and food truck fame, Chef Phillip Dell has lived one incredible barbecue journey. Welcome to the show, Chef. I got one rule: make yourself at home. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. And for those that don't know, I met Chef Dell at Memphis in May, where I was in the Willingham area, and me and my wife was invited in, so we got to meet a lot of people in there. That's how we connected, and he have a very interesting story, so I would like to share that with everybody to show more about him as well as show more of what the barbecue community can achieve if they put their mind to it, regardless of what they go through. If they just stay positive and keep trying, they'll come out on top. First question, let's rewind back to your childhood. A lot of people know you. Most kids were watching cartoons, but you were locked into chefs like Martin Yan and Justin Wilson, who I remember Justin Wilson. What do you remember most about these Saturday mornings that kind of lit that culinary fire that stood out to you?
Their personalities were definitely the first thing that caught my attention. The other thing is they always, a lot of times, they would tell a story during their demonstrations on television, and the history really got me going. People always ask me if I read books, and if I'm going to read a book, it's a biography or it's something I'm going to learn. It's something to that effect. And a lot of those shows, that's what that was. And so it wasn't just about the food specifically that they were cooking. It was about the history of the food that it was cooking. And that could be even if it was just macaroni and cheese with hot dogs. It was a childhood memory of that particular person on television. And it just attracted me. It was something interesting.
That's good because it's people just see stuff, but they don't know the origins of it. Like they just look at a piece of steak on the plate, but they don't know the origin of the meat, what type of beef, or how the animal was raised and all that stuff, and have a curiosity of how it got from point A to point Z. So it's definitely interesting. And as far as that age too, good to have a that caught your eye so you can start early learning and getting knowledge, which puts you ahead of the curve for you to go into the culinary field. So you say you were making four-course meals by the age of 8. What was there a specific moment when your family realized that you wasn't just playing around and you were becoming a chef?
My mom always tells everybody that I was born with a spatula in my hand. My mom used to cook a lot when I was growing up. She used to bake a lot when I was growing up, and I just was very attracted to that. I used to want to hang out in the kitchen. I always want to help with my mom. And then I remember one time my sister and I, we were going to be in the doghouse. Let's just put it out the way it was. We had a list of chores that we did not do, or we didn't do some of them, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I got to make sure we have dinner on the table. But instead of making something just simple, I made an Italian meal. I did a salad. I did the bread. I did like everything from scratch, the sauce and everything. And I was 8. And
Oh,
I remember my mom coming home and was blown away, first of all, that I had cooked the food. But I think let me back up a little bit. So I used to cook like breakfast in bed and that sort of thing, but the eggs were burnt. I used to just French toast was not good or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But at that moment where I started doing those 4 course meals for the family and it didn't taste like there wasn't anything off about it, they were like, "You're gonna be a chef."
That's amazing at that age, because my daughter's 9 and I'm scared to let her use the microwave most times.
There was a My grandparents lived. My dad's folks lived on Lake Huron, and even when I was on the beach, I was always playing in the dirt or the sand and the rocks and the pebbles and stuff. And they're like, "What are you building?" And I'm like, "I'm building a bakery. I'm baking cookies." And I would make like cookies on cookies with the sand and the dirt and everything else. And they're like, "Yeah, you've completely written your life. That's where you're going to be going."
So did they encourage that? Were they buying you books or anything like that, or letting you practice or taking
Oh,
classes?
absolutely. They love that actually. And then the family and friends and everything. Anytime I had a birthday or something, they would get me something food related, cookbooks especially. Anytime we would go to a store, I always wanted to go into the magazine section and look at Bon Appetit and Gourmet and any of the other magazines that had to do with food while I was there. And so they were very encouraging. Bought me my first apron. Actually, my mom made me an apron.
Oh wow.
She was a professional ceramist and she was very good with painting and that sort of thing. And she had made me a Chef Phillip Dell apron. And then we would go camping and they're like, "Do you want to help us with the food?" And I think I was definitely born it.
Oh, that's excellent, especially the encouraging and it boosts your confidence and pushes you further along into what you want to do. Because a lot of times, sometimes parents try to steer you into what they want instead of what you want to do and see what you have an interest in. So that's good that they supported that and encouraged that and pushed you into that. Tell us about some of the pig roasts that you did with your grandpa and your uncle. How did those family gatherings shape your early relationship with barbecuing?
So I want to say right around the time I was 8, my mom said, "Hey, you're going to go spend some time with grandpa." And the whole month of August. And I was like, "Wow, that's a long time away from you. I was only 8. What am I going to do?" And I was blessed to have both my grandparents nearby
Mm.
that area down there. And because I lived about 4 hours away from my grandparents. So it was always a treat to even see them. And they asked me to go down there, but I didn't know anything about the pig roast. I might have known about it, but I wasn't really like into it. And they're like, the whole time I was down there, our job or my job was to help get ready for it. And it's when they first started it out, there was only like 19 people. And when it ended, there was 400
Ooh.
people, over 400 people. And they had purchased more property and my uncle and my grandfather. And so what they would do is they built a cinder block pit and they used to do them on a spit. So part of my job was to make sure that the spit or that everything worked properly and prep the pit itself, that sort of thing. And then from the we would as I got older. So even in I don't remember it when I was 8, but I think when I was 9, I actually went to the farmer at the very beginning of the month to choose which hog we were going to get and so on and so forth. So I was involved with the entire process. We made it a big deal though. There was always, when it came to the actually cooking itself, there was 2, 3 days. And my grandfather, my uncle always made sure that I was part of that
Mm-hmm.
so that I would learn how to do it and learn the process and be involved. And they knew that I wanted to be a chef to begin with. So they knew I was into it. And then we used to sleep underneath the stars and we'd start the fire like a day before and get the cinder blocks hot and just the whole process. I can still picture literally everything about it. And the I still remember all the meals that we used to have like the night before the hog went on the cooker and staying up all night basting it. And one funny story, and this one it always gets a lot of people, is my grandfather had a very awesome sense of humor. And so he used to tell people the best corn in the world is the one that's shoved up the pig's yahoo. and up its butt. And so he'd take it one step further. He'd do that, but then he would put like potatoes and carrots, or not carrots, corn, potatoes, and he would take sausage that was on the rope sausage and stuff it inside the hog and then tie it back up. Because there was always somebody, usually a husband and wife, or even just a nice lady, would go up to him and be like, "Oh, is the pig ready? Is the pig ready? Is the pig ready?" And he goes, "You know what? Let's find out." So he'd stop the spit, he'd cut the belly, which really was just the tying, right? And all that stuff would fall out. It would freak people out. They thought it was intestines and potatoes and all the things that the pig had eaten. I still
Wow.
remember that to this day. And by the way, that is the best corn because it's got pork fat dripping on it the entire time.
So when y'all got up to 400 people, how many pigs were y'all cooking at the time?
So what they would do is they would do one pig, but then they would get half a cow, and it blossomed into something even bigger.
Oh wow. Oh cool. All right. Let's move on to after earning your degree at Johnson and Wales and winning in the Midwest barbecue circuit. Your life took a hard turn. How hard was it to be away from everything that you loved, and how did it feel to return in 2013?
So in 2001, my daughter passed away, and ultimately I was pretty wrecked, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And in 2005, I stumbled for a few years. My wife and I had separated and eventually got divorced, but we had separated. So when in 2005, when I moved to Las Vegas, I decided that I needed to work on me. And while barbecue, I was always still like reading or watching or all the different shows, Pitmaster shows and stuff. They were just starting. Like they hadn't even really started. The but Food Network would have some, and I would still get a little bit of a fix there. And if a buddy had a grill going or something, but I really just needed to focus on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until 2013, after I had one chopped, that my wife and I we had just purchased a home, my new wife, and we had just purchased a home. The backyard was a clean slate, and we were shopping around for an outdoor kitchen equipment and that sort of thing. And when I walked in to this one place, the guys, "Hey, we're having a professional team come here," and that was in 2013 to teach class. And if you purchase this stuff, I will pay for you to take that class.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, "Great, that sounds awesome." So a couple days later, literally just a couple days later, was when that class was, and it was a 2 day class. I showed up. The teacher knew who I was, but I didn't. We had known of each other, but I didn't know him personally, and he and his wife. And then when I got home that night, my wife looks at me. She goes, "So when's your first contest?" To summarize that question, that I had a lot of me to fix before I went back into that because I'm an all in or not guy.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on being all in. And
You came back with a vengeance and refined your barbecue to please West Coast palates. What was the process of rebuilding your flavor profile look like? What did that look like?
so when I started in competition barbecue in 2001, Kansas City Barbecue Society, that the game was completely different. A lot of people would do whole chickens and put in pieces. It was totally different than it is now, where everybody's doing individual pieces and so on. And there, of course, there were some of those teams that we didn't know what they were doing and they were winning. Now we all know what they were doing. But so luckily for me, I had the opportunity to take that one barbecue class. So I got to know right away the new way.
Mm.
And that was one way that I was able to help that learning curve. But I still didn't know what judges wanted to taste. I was still cooking what I wanted to cook. I still was doing all the flavor profiles that I like and all the ones that I used to market or the ones that I had on the market or whatever. I wanted my stuff to win
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. But it became more of a, is it too detailed? As a chef, we like to do things very complex in most cases. Now, the technicality about everything, the methods, might be very simple, but we like to depth of flavor is I take depth for flavor, and everything is very flavorful. It's yes, salt and pepper is key, right? That is the true seasoning, but I like things to actually be memorable. I don't like the term mediocre. And all of my flavor profiles back then when I first started were complex. So what I started to do is just simplify them a little bit. And it didn't take me much, maybe a few more years. I think 2015 is when I started to really start doing well again. I was doing okay in 2013 and 14
Mm-hmm.
and 2015, but it wasn't until right around 2016 that I blossomed, I guess you could say, and had the epiphany of what it's really going to take to win these competitions.
Okay. And many pitmasters stay in one lane, briskets or ribs, but you brought pastry, nutrition, and bodybuilding into barbecue. How did all these disciplines intersect in your cooking style today?
When I first started losing the weight when I moved to 2000 in 2005 to Las Vegas, I weighed 217 pounds, had a 44-inch waist, and over the course of about 17 months, I lost close to 100 pounds and over 30% body fat. During that process, I developed my own program of taking the foods that I really love to eat and transforming them into healthier versions without anybody knowing the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that is to say that if I wanted a cheeseburger, I made a nice, very flavorful, juicy cheeseburger, but I made it much healthier. And when I would have friends and family over, I would still make those items, but not tell them that I made it healthier until after they were done eating. And then I would let them know, hey, did you enjoy your food? And be honest. And when they would say, oh, it was great, blah, 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 whatever, or if they said, it didn't, I
Mm-hmm.
would then say, I've transformed this recipe to a healthier version. And did you know the difference? They're like, not at all.
How
So,
would you do that at hamburger though?
so the very first thing you would do is the type of beef that you're using,
Mm-hmm.
and everything from cut
Mm-hmm.
to get the most flavor to downright the type of fat that's in it and ratios of the fat. Everybody kind of, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people poo poo like the 96% where it's 96% lean.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is, as long as you know how to cook it, it's just as good as the one that's 80/20. People always say fat is flavor. They're not wrong, but there comes a point when you're able to take the flavor of the meat itself and make it shine more than the fat, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Because barbecue is such a huge thing for me and desserts and everything else. I've done, like you said, I've done it all. The I just have such a passion for food in general where I just want to try to make it a healthier version to see if it'll work. I had the opportunity to take cheesecake, and I was in a clean eating magazine and American Heart Association competition, a nationwide competition, and I won the competition making a cheesecake tartlet using goat cheese. Goat cheese is better for you because of the type of saturated fats in it versus cow's milk and so on and so forth. The protein content, the receptibility that the proteins actually do for your body. Like it's not just about it, every single component has its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that answers your question or if it's more than you wanted to know.
No, it's fine. I'm learning something now, so I know somebody else is too. So that's good. So, what brought that change when you felt yourself overweight? Was the doctor told you had to lose weight, or you just woke up one day and said, "I got to get better"?
So I was taking a shower and I opened up the curtain, and I don't know why builders do this, but if you ever notice, there's always a mirror in front of you. And I had two rolls going over my waist. And I remember grabbing it and going, this is disgusting. Right then and there, I made it straight. I
Oh
cut
wow!
out all refined sugars. I got rid of my soda. I used to drink soda like it was going out of style, man. The amount of water I drink now is what I used to drink in soda. And so I drink, when I was competing and doing bodybuilding and powerlifting, I was drinking about 2 gallons of water a day. Right now, I'm probably more about a gallon, but I was drinking realistically about 2 gallons of Coca Cola. And it wasn't
Wow!
diet Coca Cola. I cut all that out, started. just watching everything that I wanted to eat, and then remembered the fact that I had taken nutritional science and done a bunch of nutritional classes in school, both in high school, junior high, and in college. And then I just started transforming everything.
Oh wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's a success story there. Let's talk about the Jack Daniels where you got a perfect score. What did you cook to get that perfect score, and what does it mean to you to be recognized at that level after your comeback?
So it was a dessert. It was a pumpkin cheesecake with a ginger crust. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. Caramel and then crystallized pecans. Oh, and it was also topped with maple cream, but like a chantilly cream or a whipped cream. The To hear first of all to hear your name at the Jack in any shape or form is like surreal, because again I had gone back to from 2001, always wanted to get to the Jack,
Hmm.
and then taken that hiatus for so long, and then to get back into it, and then to finally make it there. To hear your name, and I heard my name 3 different times at that contest during awards, and to hear a perfect score in any category is just, it's the whipped cream on top, man. It's unbelievable. And then I remember we were sitting in the back, and I remember I jumped out of that chair so fast. Everybody, my wife couldn't keep up with me. My friend that was there with me, Chris, he couldn't keep up with me. I was gone, and I just shot out there. But I remember going down the aisle where people were, and they were clapping. And I remember all those people, that the mentors and the people that I always idolized when I was younger and everything, including some of those chefs I used to watch on TV, turning around, clapping, cheering me on as I'm going down there. And then I had a couple of them send me a message saying that because they had known me from back in 2001 and how
Hmm.
far I had come, they were like, that was something special right there, man.
Exactly.
It's a feeling it's hard to describe. I'm getting chills talking about it. It is, it's unbelievable.
I'm getting chills hearing it because it's not something that you just go sign up for and enter. It's something you number one have to be invited to in order to get there, and you're competing against the best of all over the USA, that people that's won, and you're competing against them, and to have your name called out over all of them, I know it's an excellent feeling. Just being there, period.
Exactly.
Yeah. So are you cooking by yourself, or were you with a team, or how did it go?
So it's my team, but so back then, at that particular contest, it was me, my wife, my friend Chris, and then my parents drove down from Michigan to be with us,
Hmm.
as well as some family friends. Skipped out to today. My wife and I, we were the team basically for almost all those from 2013 until about 2020. It was always in 2021. It was always my wife and I, and then yeah, I guess you could say until 20. I'm getting my dates wrong. 2023. So up to 2023, and then there was a competition, a television show, Barbecue Country, and I had the opportunity to be a stand-in for one of the chefs that was mentoring one of the contestants. Couldn't make, they had to move some things around, and she had to change direction, and so they asked me to come in and then be his mentor. And Jason Haling is his name. Plump Rump Barbecue is the name of his team, and we became such good friends during that. He and his wife and his son, they're just really fantastic people. And he lives in Arkansas, I live in Tennessee. So we were just talking back and forth. And I asked him one day, I was like, hey, do you want to go to a contest with me? And he's like, oh, that sounds great. And that was, I want to say it was 2023. And we did that in October. And he's now basically my main teammate in life. My wife is my teammate. But in barbecue, Jason, and then my wife and Lori will come every once in a while, Jason's wife as well. We would love it if eventually we could get all 4 of us there, but that happens maybe once a year.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you found somebody that you can teach as well as willing to learn and go out there and have fun because it's a good experience. And since I've been out there, I've met a lot of people that, hey, I say, hey, you can come out here and wash me in my truck and stuff like that. And it's an honor. They're like, you folks, like I say on almost every episode, these folks don't know me and they just inviting and friendly and nice. That's what I mean. That's how we met because I got
That's right.
invited in the tent because I literally met Paul that Sunday before Memphis in May, and when I went to the restaurant, that's when he said, "Hey, if you're up there, I mean, stop by and come in." So that's how I met him and got connected. So I definitely appreciate everybody in the barbecue community that's welcoming, friendly like that. It's definitely something that I will always brag on, as I say, because other people, I hate to say it, are nothing like the barbecue community. I dare somebody to prove it, but they can't. But barbecue community is something special, and I always brag on it. I'm gonna say it's not perfect, but it's awesome to me. That's just my experience. Let's switch off over to television. You competed on Food Network, Chop, Cutthroat Kitchen, and Fire Masters. What was the most intense moment that you had in front of the camera out of all your TV appearances?
Intense, I would say probably Chopped, mainly because I have no feeling in my right arm or in my right hand. I learned basically a couple days before that I have a pinch disc in my neck,
Hmm.
and I had no feeling in my right hand whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
I would say the most nerve-wracking part of the program during that filming was during the first round in appetizer. I had di- During the filming, I had discovered that I had no feeling in my hand, but I didn't realize that until I went to go move a pot, and the pot started to fall to the ground, and I grabbed it with my left hand before it hit the ground.
Oh, wow.
It was at that point where I had to give it to God and let Him guide my hand because I didn't have any feeling. So that was probably the most intense and the most nerve wracking. All the other ones, Cutthroat Kitchen. If you've seen the episode, I was strapped to this dude that was like 6 feet, 6'4" or 6'8" or something, and it was crazy. But the thing is that after being in the food industry for so long, a lot of things get thrown at us while we're
Mhm.
cooking on the line and everything that you just have to go with the flow. And so Cutthroat Kitchen, but it wasn't. And then Fire Masters, that was awesome. That was so much fun. All three of them were fun, but Fire Masters was great. We was all outside and became good friends with the two chefs that were cooking with me that day. And the weather was terrible. We were freezing and the wind was blowing and we were trying to keep our plates down. And it was fun. It was intense, but I just had a lot of fun.
I know it sounds fun, especially at Cutthroat Kitchen. It's wild, but those that haven't seen it, it's wild. I think I seen Fire Masters. I probably didn't since I know you now. I could probably go back and recognize you, but ain't that when y'all compete and then whoever wins out of that has to go against an expert or something like that?
Usually one of the judges.
Oh yeah, one of the judges at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't win that program. Sabotage myself. It was totally my mistake.
Okay, so let's move on to Fusion Bistro. It blew up fast. Cooking Channel features multiple awards, best food truck in Vegas. What was the original vision behind Fusion Bistro, and how did you keep up with that pace?
So the original design or the original vision for it was my entire life. I've always wanted to be the best. Who doesn't? I like to take challenges and go against the rules in terms of a lot of food trucks. There's one person told me that there's classifications of food trucks. There's the old fashioned roach coach. I gotta stop doing this quote thing. It's just driving me nuts. There's the roach coach. There's the burger truck or specific truck, corn dogs, burgers, fries, whatever. And then they said that then there's your food truck. And I asked them, I said, what do you mean by that? And they're like, you're at another level, man. They're like, your food is like going to a 4-star restaurant. They're like, your burger was ground New York strip and ribeye. And I know a lot of steak purists listening to this right now are going, dude, why'd you do that to a perfectly good ribeye? The truth is, burger in general is usually the trimmings of the XYZ. Let's be real. Did I take a whole ribeye and just chuck it into the grinder? Maybe a little, but not mostly. We were using homemade bread and everything's made from scratch on the truck.
Wow.
Nothing was made off site and then brought on, and it was like legit. And So we always just wanted to take that experience to the people.
Mhm.
I didn't want to have a permanent location. I had already done that before. I wanted to just be able to basically be a rolling restaurant and bring you the fine dining experience to wherever you may be. So, be it your wedding or your birthday party or just feeding your staff and so on.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, how did you come up with the name?
So, I love fusion food. I like taking foods from other areas of the country, bringing them onto one plate.
Hmm.
I always tell people that we may not get along politically in the world, but we can get together on one plate or at the dinner table, and that's how fusion started. But then the bistro part was actually, I'm going to give the nod to an attorney that my wife used to work for and or work with, and because I was a bodybuilder and a world champion powerlifter, he's like, you're a beast. You're a beast in the food. You're a beast in the gym, and you're just a beast in general. So they're like, it's got to be Beast Row instead of just BISTRO.
It makes sense. Speaking of that, let's switch to the bodybuilding. So, I'm gonna read this. It says you decided to take on bodybuilding, and in your first year competing, you finished top 5 in 6 shows and competed as part of Team USA 2007 in Greece. And October 2010, you won the title of world champion for the deadlift in your weight class. How did you get into powerlifting?
So when I was a bodybuilder, I was going through different programs. Either it would be like a hypertrophy where there's more reps, strength training, and there was one section where we got into some deep strength training. And one of the trainers at my gym just happened to notice my style and everything, and we were carrying on a conversation, and he's, hey, do you mind if I coach you for a little bit? And I was like, sure. And so that was where the seed got planted. I didn't think I ever really wanted to do that, but there was something very gratifying being able to take 300-400 pounds off the ground. My During my training programs, I do rack deads. They're called rack deads, where you're in a rack and you're not taking it off the floor. You're taking it more off of a different level, and it works different parts of your muscles in your back and in your arms and your forearms and so on. And I, if I remember correctly, my highest during that period was 720, and and my weight at that point was about 140. So that's a lot. Now, taking it off the floor is a different story because you're using every single muscle in your body to be able to lift something like that off the floor. But the first time I did that, man, the adrenaline just started rushing, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I want to do this. And then because I do everything over the top, or I try to do everything over the top, I'm like, okay, I can't just work out in the gym. I gotta compete. I'm sure my wife would love it if I'd stopped competing in barbecue, but the truth that I love competing. I love the people, and it doesn't matter if I was bodybuilding or powerlifting or barbecue. That's just how I'm made up.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. What parallels do you see between strength sports and barbecue? Is there a mental edge that connects both worlds?
I would say definitely anytime you're competing, you have to have strength mentally, first of all. And then depending on the type of competition, you definitely have to have the strength physically because it's taxing. Because even just the mental game, if it's not strong, it'll beat up your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really have to come into harmony on both of those ends. A friend of mine, Sunny Moody, she works out wherever she goes, and I was doing the same thing. We would do workouts right outside the trailer just to stay strong and stay fit and everything else. We still have a really great time, but it helps you get through those moments where if you're having a breakdown, you can get through them.
Yeah, that's definitely good having an outlet that you have. But I saw her. She's in shape. I saw. I was on Instagram the other day. I was like, wow, she's in shape. Many of our listeners are everyday backyard barbecuers and starting out in comps. What advice would you give someone who's dealing with failure or burnout, whether it's barbecue or in life?
Have fun. A lot of people throw that around, but the truth is that if we're not having fun, we're dying. Do your best to get yourself out of your own mind Surround yourself with people that are helpful and friendly and encouraging, and get rid of the negativity.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes to get rid of the negativity, you got to get rid of something of yourself. Come to realization that you're a jerk. If you are, then somehow snap out of that and try to just have a better life. When I was going through the death of my daughter, I gained a ton of weight during that time period, and I was miserable. And I would do the late nights, and I would do the order a whole pizza and finish that baby off and have a 12 pack of Coca Cola or a few beers. But there comes a point in your life where you just have to come to grips that if you want to be happy, it's your choice. There are two things that can make you happy immediately: God and yourself. Everything else is extra.
That's true. 1,000%. That's a good answer. Also, could you give a few tips for someone that's wanting to get in the food truck business since your experience?
So make sure you're very fit. Make sure you can handle the heat. And I mean that in all senses that you can imagine, because it gets very hot in a food truck. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, if it's a food truck, a restaurant, or being the Xerox man. You have to have a good plan, and you have to have enough money to get you through the downtimes. And in food trucks, there could be a lot of downtime depending on weather. There's a lot of things that you have zero control over. And choose your plan wisely in terms of what kind of truck do you want. And by truck or trailer, okay? Pick your menu, know exactly what you're going to have, and then build out your trailer or truck based on that menu to help maximize your profits. Because let's face it, basically try to make it to where you can run that thing with one person, because there will be a day when you're the only person on that truck. And so it will happen. It is just, that's the way it works. That's how life works. But just make sure your business model is something that you can maximize your profits. Definitely make sure that you're doing things properly according to all the different rules in your city, state, counties, and so on.
All right, that's good information. Let's switch it over to what you're doing now. Now, you're helping people now find homes and real estate. What drew you to that new chapter, and does it still connect with your lifelong passion of serving others?
So my dad, I grew up, even when I was growing up, my parents would buy a home and then they would do some remodeling and whatever. And so I got in. I was always around it. A very observant person. I was observant from a very young age, and I used to just watch what they were doing. And then my dad was in the title business for 58 years before he retired, and he opened up a company, Dell Abstract Title, or Dell Abstract. And then my mom got into it, and she was into it for 20, 30 years. So I was, again, always around it. During the time of my divorce, I helped run my dad's company and got in. So I learned a lot of facets to that and what it takes and what the ins and outs of closings and so on. And then my we have a lot of relatives in my family that are in the industry and have been in the industry forever. Basically, that was their first job and their last job. And then we talked about the TV part of things when I was growing up looking at food shows and stuff. The other types of shows I looked at were interior design, flipping houses, construction stuff, handyman things, stuff like that. I've been in the food industry 36 years, and I've beaten my body up pretty well over the years, and just in general. And as I get older, it's reminding me of that more and more, how things have to be a certain way if I'm going to stay alive. So I love being a chef. Absolutely love it. People always tell me that when I walk into a room, I'm talking about food, I light up the room. Unfortunately, my body can't take that beating every day anymore. So I had to come up with other ways to where I could still help people, because when I lost all that weight, I was helping people eat better one bite at a time. This time, I want them to dream it, find it, and love it. And I want to see that smile on their face when they get their home for the very first time. I want to see the kids smile on their face when they get to purchase the home that they lived in their entire lives. I want to be able to help that person that is living on the street who thinks they can't get a home. I
Mhm.
want to put them in touch with the right people. The truth is, I want people to be happy. For years, I was doing it with food. Now I get to do it with something that's even, I guess you could say, even bigger. Purchasing a home is one of the it is probably, in most cases, the largest transaction you will ever have.
Mhm.
And so I want people to trust me in getting them through that process so that they can live out their dreams in the home of their dreams. And sometimes that's the first house they ever purchase, and that could be the 15th house they ever purchase. So, in general, I love to see people smile, and I love helping people. I want everybody to not have such a frown on their face all the time. And I can hear certain people saying right now, we would love to see your smile more and more. And it's true. I'm still human, people, but seeing some, I can't begin to tell you how just cool it is to see somebody go from not owning a home or thinking that they can own a home and putting them in the touch with the right people to making sure that they find that house of their dreams.
Yeah, that's excellent because when I was living in a renting a house, I stayed in an apartment, then I was renting a house, and I was on the fence like, man, I can't. I don't even know if I can buy a house or not. And then the right real estate agent makes a difference because there's a person that truthfully tell you if you can get it or not. And the lady I ran across, she had went to my church and stuff like that, and I talked to her and she said, "You'll be surprised at what you can get." So I got with her, and next day I was a homeowner, and I was like, "Wow." I'm sitting in the house looking around like I can't believe I was able to get this on my own. And folks be surprised at what they can do. They just got to go across the right real estate agent to help them move in the house of their dreams and be realistic also because it was a starter home and then I worked my way up. And once I got married, I was able to sell that house to someone else that never had a house, and that was their starter home. So it felt good to me because I worked with that same real estate agent to sell the house, and I told her I wanted her to find someone that had never been in a house before to give them an opportunity to live in a house. And when I got married and stuff and sold the house, I left them a washer, dryer. I left the refrigerator was pretty because I lived by myself then. All of it was pretty much just brand new. So I'll give them an opportunity to get a head start and start ahead of the curve when moving in the house and not having to worry about buying stuff like that. But it's a great feeling, and especially when you got somebody working with you and on point and know what they're doing and not trying to upsell you on something that you can't afford and you get messed up and stuff like that. But it's definitely it feels great when you achieve something like that and have somebody that's happy for you getting a home and stuff like that. So it's definitely good that you're doing that. It's wonderful that you're still connecting with people, and that's a community also because you get to meet different people from all over the place and stuff like that, and make connections beyond the real estate. Because once you make that connection, they're gonna always go back to you because okay, he helped me now. He gonna help me sell the house. He gonna help me get my next house. He gonna make me until I get that forever home. So it's good to
That's
see you
right.
doing that. We're gonna wrap it up with a couple more questions. Looking back at the kid who watched cooking shows on Saturday morning, what would you tell him now if you could speak to him now?
Be nicer to your body.
That was a good answer. Final question: what does barbecue heal in your life?
Honestly, it brings me back to center a lot. I spend a lot of time around a barbecue pit, and by barbecue, I'm gonna put it into that whole spectrum of if it's got flame and I'm able to cook on it, it's a barbecue. I'm gonna go that route. Okay. So I can have the most stressed out day in the world, but if I fire that up, just the smell alone will calm me down. And so it brings me back to center. And then
Yeah.
once I'm able to do that, then I talk to Jesus a lot around the smoker. I started something a while back called Bible Q, and getting some brothers together or females, ladies as well, couples, whatever, and we just fire up a pit and talk around the smoker. And I used to tell people it's my sanctuary. It's just a place that I love to just come back to zero and enjoy it and think about all the things, you know.
Definitely tranquil and forget about all your problems and just relax and enjoy what you do. All right, that's all the questions I have. I have a game that I play at the end. It's called 16 Meat Tournament Bracket, where I match different meats that you cook on the grill, and I put them in a tournament bracket, and you just pick which one you choose to eat. Matchup number one is hot dog versus smoked bologna.
A hot dog.
Okay. Next matchup, smoked ham versus hamburger.
Oh no. My uncle ruined me with that because a good ham steak is so good. I'm gonna go burger. Yeah.
All right. Next matchup, beef ribs versus lamb.
Oh, beef ribs.
Okay. The next matchup is smoked turkey versus steak.
So the former me would say steak. The new me would say turkey.
All right. Next matchup is brisket versus pork ribs.
Oh no, pork ribs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next matchup is smoked chicken versus burnt ends.
Oh man, you're brutal. Burn ends.
Okay. Next matchup, pork chop versus barbecue shrimp.
Pork chop.
Okay. Next matchup is sausage versus pork belly.
Sausage.
Okay. Next round is hot dog versus burger.
Burger.
Okay. Next matchup is beef rib versus turkey.
Beef ribs.
Okay. Next matchup, pork ribs versus burnt ends.
Pork ribs.
Okay. Next matchup is pork chop versus sausage.
Can it be any flavor sausage?
Yeah, it can be any flavor.
I've got a couple. I've got Bill Dumas, the sausage sensei, and oh shoot, oh his name is escaping me. I'm so sorry, buddy. They are the sausage kings, in my opinion, and Grubbs, James Grubbs. They're the sausage kings, and they can take any food group and make it into a meal, into a sausage. So I'm gonna go with sausage.
All right. Final four, you got hamburger versus beef ribs.
Burger.
Oh, wow. And you got pork ribs versus sausage. Okay. And final, you got hamburger versus pork ribs.
Pork ribs.
Okay.
I have so many memories with pork ribs. I grew up. My mom used to boil them. Okay. I know, but there's a place for that. There's a lot of ancient, I guess you'd call them ancient methods of quote unquote braising the ribs before they hit a grill or whatever. And they're flavorful. There's ways to get flavor in there. But I remember my dad and my parents had some friends over. And my dad was grilling. My dad wasn't really always on the grill cooking, but he was on the grill with his buddy and they were having a good time. And I remember the flames being so high that it almost caught the house on fire. And they were charred, but man, they were still good. I remember sitting around, we used to take ribs camping and sitting around a campfire, just gnawing on that bone and gnawing on that bone. And they weren't falling off. It wasn't fall off the bone ribs. It didn't matter. I don't know. I have so many memories of ribs.
That's good. So pork ribs is your winner. And your therapy session is over. Do you have anybody to promote or shout out or give them your information in case they're looking for a house?
Sure. All throughout my barbecue journey, I've got a number of companies that are sponsors, but they're also just companies I really believe in. It's not always about the product, it's about the people behind the product. Royal Oak Charcoal and the entire family of Royal Oak Charcoal is huge. There's a lot about them, I could say. Yoder Smokers changed the game on pellets, man. I know there's a lot of people that poo pellets. They are not. The pellet cookers are not the easy bake oven. Okay. And there's a whole lot I could talk about that too, but I won't. Who's Your Daddy barbecue sauce? That stuff is incredible. All of their products are fantastic. I have won a lot of awards. Willingham's Barbecue. all the way back to John Willingham. There's a lot of history behind that. And the fact that I've been able to team up with them on a friendship level and as an on team level and cook with them at Memphis in May is a huge deal for me. There's a company called Mojo Bricks. They got me started when I was doing like gravity feed programs and stuff. Mm-hmm. Fred Gross, he hustles it, man. He's doing good stuff. The JDQ barbecue, Joshua DeWitt, fantastic. Heath Riles, I use all his product. I'm not sponsored by Heath, but I love his products. They got me across the finish line when it came to 2017. We had 5 grand championships that year, and I'm going to go ahead and say that a lot of it had to do with 2 things. 3, 1, God. 2, Yoder smokers with the YS 1500 and Heath Riles injections. I mean, they were, back then he was with a different brand, but they were his formulas and fantastic. Let's see, who else am I missing? Oh, Springer Mountain Farms chicken. They are the game changer, period. They will take a backyard, a first comer in the kitchen, and a master all around the world at the barbecue pit. It'll take your chicken game to a completely other level. And they are incredible. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I apologize if I'm missing anybody, but I have a lot of supporters that don't even want me to mention them. They know who they are. I'm blessed to have them, and I appreciate them all the time. The encouragement of my followers, Chef Phillip Dell and the BBQ Asylum are my Instagram. Facebook, I have Chef Phillip Dell. YouTube is Chef Phillip Dell Presents, and we're trying to work on getting some more video content. People are loving my videos, and they're trying to get me to do some more of that. And I'll be honest, I love that. So I would love to do some more of that. From a real estate perspective, I started with Exit Realty, and my broker is phenomenal. Shelly Gregory has really opened my eyes to why this industry and helping other people, what it means to be a better person and putting other people first, because it's not about you. It's about building those relationships. And I want people to know that we as realtors really do want the best interest for you, and we take it to heart. I can't legally sell you a home, but I can get you through that process. This isn't car sales. I can't say, hey, this is the house for you. You have to choose that yourself because it's your house. Mm-hmm. But we can make sure that you have a smile at the end of the day, and try to get you through that program. Exit Realty Refined in Gallatin, Tennessee is, in my biased opinion, the best brokerage. I knew I was going to join them as soon as I walked in the door. And I interviewed with quite a few of them before I decided, and Exit Realty was the one I wanted.
We wish you good luck into that. And
sorry, one more.
Go ahead.
Can't forget. I can't believe I didn't do this first, but I have to thank my wife.
Yes.
She puts up a lot of my crap, and she really does. She's a gift from God from the very beginning.
That's excellent. I want to thank my wife too. She holds it down while I do these interviews. Ain't nothing like having a partner that supports you and push you forth in what you want to do. So I definitely thank my wife and thank your wife for allowing you to be here. So I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your time and giving your story like that. So definitely, I know it will help people out there. And like I said, I wish you all the success in the world, and definitely can't wait to meet you again and stuff like that. But until then, we'll see you next episode, everybody. You have a good day. We just wrapped up another session of BBQ Therapy. Remember, stay patient, stay passionate, and keep that fire burning. Hit subscribe, share the good smoke, and pay the secretary on your way out. Have a blessed day.
What?